Welcome to this platform. So in this video, I thought of just giving you an interesting part, or the part that you have been requesting for, and that is essay writing in civic education. Let us have a look at this part. Now, before then, I should admit that this is one of the parts that most of you find challenging. And of course, you are likely to lose marks because you don't know how to present your work here. This part is normally the last section of the paper, and it's about 40 marks. So you can't afford to lose 40 marks because you do not know how to present your work. You might have the answers, but of course, if you do not know how to present your work, you lose marks. So this is what we are going to basically look at, and I urge you to stay up to the end. Okay, so the first thing that we are going to do, we are going to start with the basics, where we are going to define what an essay is. Okay, so an essay is just an academic piece of writing on a particular subject or topic, and should be written in prose form, just like a composition. Now, what are the guides that we need to follow when writing the essay? So let us look at the guides on how to write an essay. The first thing that we are going to discuss is on title. So your essay should have a title. The question is that, what do you write as your title, or how do you formulate your title? So what you write as your title, you can just copy the question the way it is and just underline it. So the question that you've picked, as in the one that you're going to write, you just copy it as your title, then you underline it. So you copy the whole question, then you underline it. That is your title. Or you can formulate your title from the question, but do not go outside what you're asked. So you can formulate the question. Now, if you ask me which one is easy, it is easy for me to copy the question and underline it rather than coming up with my own title. Okay? Then aside from title, the other thing that we can look at is the structure. How is it structured in terms of writing? What are you going to write? So this is where I want you to pay particular attention, because this is where now you start earning marks. Okay. Now, in terms of structure, an essay has a structure of a composition, just like I've said, just like I've indicated earlier on. So I'm trying to bring in the composition because that knowledge is near. Okay, so you know that the composition in English should have the introduction, the main body, and the conclusion. Now, that is exactly the way it is with an essay in civic education. Now, what you need to understand about these parts, that is the introduction, the main body, and the conclusion. What you need to understand that they are all written in what? Paragraphs. And that is what we are going to discuss in depth as we go on. Okay, so let us look at each of these parts. So we are going to start by discussing the introduction. So we are going to look at what you write in the introduction and how you introduce your essay. So now, with the introduction, what do you need to write? So these are the things to take note. So one, you can define, or you define the key terms. So in the introduction, when you're given a question, make sure that you identify the key terms and define them. Then aside from that, you can explain the keywords and phrases. If there are phrases that you need to explain, also you need to explain them in the introduction. So define the key terms, explain the keywords, then that is your introduction. And of course, at the end, introduce your what? Your essay. What are you going to discuss in the main body has to be indicated, so that even as the marker is marking, the marker will know what to find in the what? In the main body. All right, let us go into the main body now. So for the main body comprises of the points of the entire content, and very important, they should be segmented in what? In paragraphs. Now we are going to look at what this word segment really mean. What does it mean to segment? So comprises of the points of the entire content and segmented in paragraphs. So very important. Then each point constitutes its own paragraph. So what it means segmented, which means it to be put in parts. So the points that you raise in the points, you need to write them each in a paragraph. And we are going to look at the do's and the don'ts at the end, or maybe the don'ts, what you shouldn't do. So each point constitutes of its own paragraph. Use relevant connecting or linking words. So moving from one paragraph to the other, you are going to use what we call linking words. And I'm sure you've learned about that in English. Should be called connectors or conjunctions or something like that. But here we are saying connecting word or linking words. To join one paragraph to another in chronological order, orderly manner. That is chronological. Okay, you don't have to write your work, should I say helter-skelter, or maybe without order, let me say. Okay. So now, what are some of the linking words, even as you write, the words that you should put in mind? I know these are not only ones, but common ones. What are the words that link or that links, yes, the paragraph? So one of them, you can use numbering system. You can use firstly for the first paragraph, secondly for the second paragraph, thirdly introducing the third paragraph. So you can use number system like that. Then also the other way that you can use is again, in addition, furthermore, not only that, but also, moreover, in conclusion, to crown it all, or to sum up, then also, lastly. These are some of the words that can help you to connect your paragraphs. So like I said, these are not only words. I know you know other words that you can use. So long as you know them, make sure that you use them. Otherwise, your essay, there should be a separation. As you enter another paragraph, the marker should be able to tell that yes, indeed, another paragraph has started, not just writing the skeleton of the essay without the linking words. Should be exciting to the marker, in other words. Then the conclusion, what do you write in the conclusion? So you're going to sum up what has been written in an essay, but do not introduce new points. Highlights one major point from the given in the essay. And most importantly, proofread your work. To proofread is to read after you are done writing. You go back, you start reading your essay. You might be writing, but sometimes you might miss out some words and all that. That is normal. So when you proofread, then you are going to put in those words that you've missed. Okay? Then now we are going to go to, don't worry, after some time, just in a few minutes, we are going to look at the essay that I've written on a particular topic. So you're going to see how I've structured it, and that is exactly how you should write. So now, let us have a look at what you shouldn't do in an essay. So this is where you need to pay particular attention. I know this is what some of you have been doing, but this time around, please, for the sake of exams, can you abandon or stop that kind of writing or presenting the work? So now, do not do the following. 1, do not write in note form or point form. Never at any point should you write in what? In a point form. Okay? So point form, we are looking at it where you write. In short, you are putting even dashes, which is the connecting to, I think this one, we should marry it with this one. So do not write in point form. What do you write? Paragraphs. So paragraphs are not point form. If you know what a paragraph is, then of course you understand better what I'm talking about here. Okay? So there should be sentences in a paragraph, full sentences, and not just one point per point and all that. Then never use dashes or stars or whatever kind of, that you are going to use to itemize the point. So do not use dashes, do not use, sometimes some of you draw the decorations and all those, they are not needed. The key thing that you should, or one thing that you should put in your mind is the paragraph. Then do not number the points. Okay, do not number. No, the first point, because this question requires me to give it's 16 marks, so I'll give points, 16 points. You can have the points, but immediately you present them, numbering them, that is just a 0. There's no negotiation for that. So even if you don't follow the kind of writing, there's no negotiation for that. Some of you might argue that no, I have the points, I can present them whichever way I want. That is not the way it is. Exams, you have to follow rules, and that is what applies. They do not mark answers just, but also the presentation of your work. That is something that you should have in your mind. Then do not underline the points. So some of you have seen, most learners, you see, I've used, the part that I've used, I'm sure you're able to see, it's more like a page of a book. So I've written, you're going to see the way I've written. The points are in lines, but you still want to underline them with a pencil. You underline it throughout. You don't need to do that. The examiner is very experienced. He can even tell, he or she can tell, this is the point, this is where it is ending. Yours is just to write, to present your work, and that is what you need to do. If you write paragraphs, you present your work in paragraph, then you put all the required, points, full stops, and all those. The marker is going to know. You don't need to underline, to highlight the points. Some of you might even put highlighters. You don't need to do that. Okay, the marker is experienced. You should have that in your mind. Do not write subtitles. So in the case you are answering a question that has part A, part B, then now because we are taught to write titles and you need to put the question. No, you do not have to do that. Paragraphs separate the subtitles or sub questions. Do not need to write subtitles. Okay, do not need to write subtitles. So take note of that. Okay. So having explained that, let us look at the question that I've answered. And here is the question. So the question is from legal system in Zambia. So let us read the question. So I got this question from one of the exams. It should be 2018 or somewhere there. So the question is, describe the legal system in Zambia. Full stop. Critically analyze the sources of law in Zambia. Now, I want to explain something also here. Look at the way the question is. Look at the question, the way the question is. Look at now how the answers, how the marks are distributed. This shows you that the question has how many parts? 2 parts. The first part 4 marks, the second part 16 marks. Sometimes you might find the questions such as maybe 8, or let me put 2, 8, then 10, which means this question has 3 parts. The first part gives you 2 marks. The second part gives you what? 8 marks. The last part gives you what? 10 marks. These are marks distribution. Now, what is the importance of these marks? These marks shows you the information that you should present. You can't present one sentence as you are done writing where you are supposed to get 8 marks. If you ask me how much of the information should I write on the question with 8 marks, present at least 4 points explained. Okay? 4 points explained, expanded. That is the list. Or present all the 8 points if they are there. So if you present 2 points where you are supposed to get 8 marks, just know that you are reducing your marks. It is better to write the information, more information, of course relevant information, beyond what the question requires, than writing few points. I guess you get what I'm trying to explain. So let us go into writing. The first part, remember, we should have a title. So imagine this was the question. I would just copy it and of course underline it. Okay, that is my title. Then now I start answering. The first part describe the legal system in Zambia. That is the first part of the question. So I'm going to describe the legal system in the first part, and that is the introduction. And remember what we said? When you ask the question like this one, describe the legal system, automatically the legal system here is the key word. So that is what I'm trying, or that is what I'm going to focus on. First, define the legal system. So in this case, paragraphing also, I should indicate that there are two ways of paragraphing that you can go with. You either indent, where you leave a space, as you can see, from the line, starting line, I've left a space, then started from inside. Or you can start from the first part, but you need to leave a line, just at least one line like this. This is the first paragraph. Then you leave one line, you start another paragraph, but you are starting from the start. Do not put indenting and also spacing in one writing. That is confusion. So if you are going to choose to indent, you need to make sure that you do it rightly. And of course, the problem with indenting, because also handwriting, something that we need to admit. Some of us, we have good handwritings. Some of us, we have bad handwritings. And what I mean good and bad, some of us, our handwriting are not clear. When you write high, you even feel for yours. No one can even read what you can't even read yourself. So if you have such kind of an handwriting also, I think when it comes to an essay writing, you also need to be slow. If you have a bad handwriting, like maybe mine, or small handwriting, you need to be slow in terms of writing and make sure that your words are spaced. Okay? Otherwise, you're going to lose marks. The marker cannot be struggling to try and see your handwriting. You cannot be marked under the microscope. Okay? The marker is a human. And of course, they do get tired. So make sure that you present your work perfectly, starting with your handwriting. Don't rub. Some of you have a tendency of rubbing everywhere. I'm going to show you what you do when you make a mistake. Okay, so the first part, we are going to start introducing the answers. So legal system is a system of interpreting and enforcing the what? The law. It also refers to procedure or processes for interpreting and enforcing the law. Full stop. Okay? So this first part, I've defined the key term. Then I can further add, since you are describing, you need to tell us about the legal system in Zambia, detailed. So I can further add, or I further added to this one, the rules which makes the laws, the institution that administer the laws, the principles, ideas, theories, practices, procedures, and techniques that develop over the years in dealing with the law makes a legal system. Okay? That is the whole description of the what? The legal system. Then now I further add to give the marker the idea of what I'm going to discuss in the main body. This essay critically analyzes the sources of law in what? In Zambia. So, which means what the marker is going to find in the main body are the sources of laws in what? In Zambia. And I'm going to critically analyze them. So now I'm going to start. Remember the connectors that I talked of? I talked of firstly, or where you can use the number system, firstly, secondly, thirdly. That is firstly for the first paragraph, secondly for the second paragraph, thirdly for the third paragraph. Then of course you can use other connectors. So in this case I chose to use numbering. So firstly, comma, the English law sources. So that is one of the source of law in Zambia. So this is a point, English law sources. So we can start from common law is the law that started as customs that were all parts of the England. England later applied this law to all parts of its colonies. Okay? Therefore, Zambia adopted common law as source of law. I've described the first one. I've explained the first part. That is the English law. I mean English as source of law, English law. Then the second part, I'm going to go for another source of law. So I'm done with this one. Now look at this. Paragraphing. I started from there. Then which means when I start the next paragraph, I'm going to start also from there. You see? So, secondly, legislation. These are laws enacted by Parliament. So legislation is one of the source of law. That is what it means. These are laws enacted by Parliament. It is the largest source of law in Zambia. There are three types of what? There are three types of laws made by what? Legislation. So here, there are three types of laws made by legislation. And these are the Constitution. The Constitution, which is the supreme law of land. This means that if any law does not conform with the Constitution, then that law becomes void, which means it is invalid. So I'm talking of the Constitution as part of the legislation. Then Act of Parliament is another type. But I'm not going to write it in a separate paragraph because I'm still discussing legislation. So Act of Parliament, these are laws made through bills of Parliament and assented by the what? The President. So I can end here for the Act of Parliament. Then delegated or subsidiary legislation. Delegated or subsidiary legislation are delegated to the executive wing of the what? The government to make laws as provided in the Act of Parliament. Okay, so I've discussed that. I've talked of delegated or subsidiary laws. So government ministers makes laws such as statutory instrument. So I'm still on delegated. So I'm done with the second source of law, which is legislation. Going to the next one, I'm going to indent. And of course, they should be in line, at least you show them. Not where the other one start from inside, the other one at least a bit. So they should be in line. Use a meter rule maybe to look at the line. They should be a line. Okay. Then thirdly, case law. It is the largest source of law in Zambia. It is also known, so here I've cleaned this part because I've left out something. But of course, I'll just dictate this one. It is also called law of what? Law of report. So decision of the appellant court, I'm starting from here. Decision of the appellant courts are reported in the Zambian law reports. These are the ones a court disposed of under the principle of res judicata, meaning to resolve a case so as the parties involved do not have to go to court to seek further resolution. Case laws are important. Then you further talk of the importance of case laws. So case laws are important because they save time, as there is no need of a whole research. Then also show respect to judges who made the previous decision. Then ensure equality and uniformity and stability in the law. So ensure uniformity, equality, uniformity and stability in the law. So that is how you present the third paragraph. Then another source is called the international treaties, but here I've used the different connectors. So furthermore, international treaties are also sources of what? Law. Now, what are international treaties? I define them. These are agreement or convention that Zambia has signed. Content of these treaties are sources of law in Zambia. Full stop. However, these treaties do not automatically become laws unless the Act of Parliament domesticate them. So I've written on the what? On the international treaties. Then now another one is customary law. But now in joining this, look at the connector that I've used. Not only that, but also customary laws or customary law are sources of what? Laws. Okay. Also customary law is the source of sources of law. Then full stop. These are laws derived from the customs, a practice of doing things in society. They are different from statutory instruments because they are not written or and codified for it to be recognized and enforced by the court of law. Customary law uses advisors who are called assessors to give advice on a particular matter. These are not justices but plays the role of consultants. They are not justices but play an important role of what? A consultant. So that was the last paragraph. Okay? That was the last paragraph, which means I've exhausted all the points, I mean the sources of law. But what is remaining here, we talked of the conclusion. So conclusion, we said you have to sum up everything. Now, how am I going to conclude this? So let me try to conclude this. And we are going to say, in conclusion, these sources interact dynamically. So these sources interact dynamically within Zambia's. Okay, these sources interact dynamically within Zambia's legal system. The Constitution stands at the apex. Then legislation, please. Legislation provides details the rules. Then judicial precedents ensure consistency. Then we can customary law reflects on societal norms and international law, which are international treaties, shapes obligations on a global scale. Okay, so just to read what I've written in summary, you can write in conclusion, or to crown it all, these sources interact dynamically with Zambia's legal system. The Constitution stands at the apex. Legislation provides detailed rules. Judicial precedents ensure consistency. Customary law reflect on societal norms, and international laws or treaties shape obligation on global scale. So that is how you can conclude. But of course, this is my conclusion. So in conclusion, some of you are going to start writing again. So you have to just look at the many, since we said the conclusion, you just sum up what has been written in an essay and do not introduce new points. Highlight one major point from the what? From those given in an essay. So this is just what I've done, highlighting this. And of course, don't forget to proofread your work. Otherwise, this is how you write a perfect essay. And if you are going to write this, I can assure you that it is possible to get 20 out of 20. Okay. So in the next one, I'm going to deal with, I think, the prediction for the essay questions that are to come in the next one. So please also look out for that one. But legal system is one of the topics that you need to study. It rarely misses in the exams. So So please, we've come to the end of this presentation. If you are interested in the online lessons you are writing next year, that is GCE, IGCSE, GCSE, you can contact the number 0976 402563 and register before it's too late. Otherwise, see you in the next one.